Alright everyone, so I want to make a quick video about a little bit of a, it's not really an issue, it's just more of a consumer rant. I guess that's the best way to put it. So, obviously with the beta release of the 2.0 firmware on the PS5, basically the big feature with that is allowing people to actually install these things into their consoles. However, if you've been using the Xbox and you want to expand them, you can just buy one of these and just plug in the back and you're good to go. In some ways, I kind of understand what Sony was doing, but at the end of the day, here is the absolute truth about this. Yes, this is proprietary. And yes, if you were just getting this, expanding your store strictly for the console, to be quite honest with you, in terms of the pricing between them, this was the better route to go. Because, keep in mind, these things are $220. It is proprietary. So I guess one aspect with this is that later down the line, if I wanted to upgrade the storage on the PS5, I could theoretically just take this out and just get an enclosure, and then I have a terabyte external drive to use. So I guess in that way, this might be a little more versatile down the line. But if you're someone that is just going to upgrade the drive, pop it in there, and leave at that, basically what I got for here, including tax, came out to pretty much identical to this. And this was on sale. So if you were to buy these things at regular price, you would actually be spending more on this than one of these. So I guess coming from a consumer side of things and just looking at the two different solutions, I'm just kind of confused why Sony would go down this route. And with how the game sizes are becoming when it comes to a lot of the high profile games being released, like let's just take for example Call of Duty Warzone. That is like a 200 gigabyte game, roughly. The minimum size you can put in a PS5 is 250 gigs. So you're basically getting one of those drives strictly for that game, essentially. And again, I'm not knocking, like in this case, Samsung about this, because, they're just releasing these drives that just happens to work with it as long as you get a heatsink. And the problem is now that Sony is basically releasing the beta, and then soon after that it will be a full release. These manufacturers, especially companies like Western Digital and Seagate, they know a lot of people are going to be buying those particular drives with the heat sinks, and they know they can just start price gouging. And that's apparently what's starting to happen too, is the pricing on them, even the sale price, still costs more than one of these. So just coming from a consumer point of view, I guess, here's the thing, is that I used to work in retail, and I've seen, I don't want to be mean or anything, but let's just say I've just seen very, very dumb customers. And unfortunately, when it comes to stuff like this, especially in the gaming side of things, you kind of have to design things for the lowest common denominator. And this is one of these areas that I think you're going to have a segment of people with PS5s wondering why the hell either the games are not performing correctly or the drives are not working, and they're just not going to understand that they just did not get the correct specs. And I think part of the problem right now with the beta version is that, yes, even though Sony released the recommended specifications when it comes to it, apparently you can put like Gen 3 versions in there, and apparently it's still working fine. However, how's that going to perform down the line? Is this one of these things where, Sony's going to get the data for it and be like, oh, I guess these other drives are working fine. All right, let's have these as recommended drives too. But the problem is that you're going to start running into issues where if a game's being specifically designed for the internal drive and someone's putting a much slower drive and the PS5 still somehow takes it, how is that game still going to perform down the line? And I think something like this, it's where Sony kind of screwed up here. Because at least with this, yes, it is proprietary, but the speed and the specs on this drive is the exact same as the internal version. So yes, even though it is proprietary, but it's the exact same read and write speed as the internal one. So performance-wise, you're going to get the exact same performance out of this as if you were using the internal drive. How are these going to fare? So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I'm just going to say this. Coming from the consumer side of things, basically if I'm paying the same amount and I'm still having to put this stuff together, whereas this, I literally just open the package, pop in the back of the console, and I'm done. A little bit of a questionable decision there. I guess one benefit with this, however, is that at least, you can put, what is it, like up to 4 terabytes, I think, currently? Whereas these, you're kind of limited to 1 terabyte. So unless, they come out with higher capacity versions of these things down the line. However, as of this video, they're only available in 1 terabytes. But I think, at least on the PS5 side of things, I think when you're looking at the pricing, because I was doing a little bit of research on this, I think for the price and the capacity, the 1 terabyte currently right now, as of this video, is kind of the sweet spot where you're not basically spending a ridiculous amount of money on something like this, but you're still getting a reasonable amount of storage. So I would say if you are looking to upgrade the storage right now, I would say get a 1 terabyte, and you don't necessarily have to get the one with the heatsink, because you can, just buy a heatsink for it, which is what I'm going to do. But just remember, get one that at least meets specs. So this one here actually slightly exceeds the specs, so this would be perfectly fine for it. And this is also going to be one of these areas where I would say stick to a well-named brand. And that's why I went with the Samsung one, because the Samsung, even though I'm not a big fan of their phones, mainly because of the software side of things, but when it comes to the hardware, I do like Samsung in that aspect. So I went with that. And like I said before, if down the line I need to upgrade the storage on the PS5 and the prices do come down on these, well, I can probably just get a case for this, put it in there, and use it as an external drive later down the line. It would be interesting if someone does come out with an enclosure for this, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a company out there that's going to design an enclosure for this thing. That way you can just plug it in and use this as an external drive, because I'll be honest with you, this is one area where I do kind of question it in terms of longevity, but I don't know. About to wait and see. Anyway, I'll just end it here. Like always, have a good one. Leave those comments down below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and like always, have a good one.